You're going live on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, a little of everything.
And a little everything.
Yeah. Hashtag Chris for organ supplements, right?
Yep, that's right. I think we're live, by the way. Good morning, everybody. We are live.
Good morning, everybody. We are live.
Good morning.
Is it live or is it Dr. Nelson? Chris, introduce yourself, our brother.
Yeah, my name's Chris. I live in northern Wisconsin, so it's always cold, which never minded until I lost weight. But anyway, back in 2012, I had gone to Europe for a month where there's tons of walking, and all throughout the time before that, high school, college, and everything, I was never too badly overweight. But I remember when I got back from Europe, I did like the insanity workouts or whatever, because you didn't really know I didn't know anything about nutrition, so I just assumed, oh yeah, if I work out, I'm gonna get in better shape and everything. And arguably, I probably did, but I was still eating all the same junk that I'd been eating my whole life. And then so by 2013, I graduate, go into the real world, and started to really neglect my health and everything. So then I think it was 2014 or so, only a year or so after I'd moved away, a doctor diagnosed me with type 2 diabetes, which wasn't a huge shock, but it was just like, oh, that's
unfortunate. At what age?
That's probably like 26, 27, somewhere around there. I don't remember exactly, but it you'd think that would have been like a real wake-up call, like, hey, yeah, you should figure this out or do something. But because of the medical establishment, it's like, oh, they gave me the metformin, so I kind of assumed I was good. But little did we know at the time. So anyway, after 7, 8, 9 years of just working in the real world, being not so active anymore, I just kind of slowly gained lots of weight. And yeah, by July of 2022, I weighed in at the doctor's office at 300 pounds. It's like, again, you'd think that's a wake-up call or time to fix things. It wasn't until January of 23 that I finally had started seeing things on YouTube about intermittent fasting. And it's like, that sounds intriguing, watching like Sten Ekberg videos about what if you don't eat for so many days or whatever. And it's like, so I decided to give that a try and weighed in, I think it was January 27th, 2023, at the doctor's office at 287. It's like, okay, well, from there with the intermittent fasting alone, I was basically losing I think I lost 30 pounds the first month and 30 pounds the second month. And then, so I was just like, wow, this is working. That's great. I was still eating the same stuff, just in a different time window. So, eating like waffles and sausage with, maple syrup and all that stuff. And I'd made small changes like to the low sugar maple syrup and things like that. But, it was a start. But by the summer, losing weight, I had been getting, doing lots of walking, which was nice because, as you start losing 30, 40, 50 pounds, it's like, okay, I can walk more. I can do this. So, and then by, I think it was March or April, I went down to my friend's house in Missouri. And actually, after a night of heavy drinking, because that's what we did, his wife made like a vegetable tray and was like, wow, I actually ate some of them, which I was a picky eater ever. I ate pizzas and sweets and things like that. But this day I decided, while hungover, it's like, oh, well, let's have some vegetables, some broccoli and cauliflower. And it's like, okay, well, that was a big change for me. And then the very next day I went back to Wisconsin and visited my niece, who's vegetarian or vegan or something, she made some kind of a dish there and actually had 2 servings of it, something I probably never would have eaten before. So my palate was opening up, and that seemed like a positive change, where it's like, hey, I'm starting to be active, I'm losing some weight. And then all of a sudden it's like, now I'm eating things that I never ate before, which again, in theory, would be healthier than what I was eating. But then, let's see. So I just lots of walking that year, and by the time the weight loss slowed down, it was probably like another 5 or 10 pounds a month or whatever. So by I think it was in August August 2023 when I had my next doctor's appointment, and here I'd lost like 80, 90 pounds. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna, because my doctor seemed really skeptical about the idea of intermittent fasting. It wasn't that he was against it. He just saw it as it's a way of eating. It's not a diet. And I never claimed it was a diet. I just said that's what I was doing because I started right before my January doctor's appointment. But because of my history of diabetes, they were checking my A1C and all that stuff. So I was in every 6 months or so. Unfortunately, my regular doctor was out that day. He was out sick. So I got a substitute doctor who, of course, didn't know me, didn't know my backstory or anything like that. So here's me wanting to show up and be like, yeah, take this, doctor, as if that's going to be like a in your face kind of thing. It just wouldn't be. I'm sure he'd be like, oh no, you're healthy now, great. But yeah, by my January appointment, so 1 year later, basically, I went from 287 down to 184. So I lost like 104 pounds in a year. And it's like, well, it was probably like 11 months to a year, but so I was pretty excited about that. I think it was partially because in December of 23, that's when I decided to go carnivore. Before that, like leading up to that, I'd been kind of from October to November, I'd been leaning more that way and seeing lots of YouTube videos about it. And was very intrigued. And it was just a matter of, okay, well, I got all these protein bars I wanted to use up because I'd already bought them. So I'm going to use them up. So by December, I was out of supply of all the stuff I used to eat. So I was able to go carnivore fully. I would still drink every once in a while whenever my friend would visit or I'd visit him or whatever. In fact, the last time he came to town was April of 24. So by that point, I'd already committed to taking a marathon bib from a friend of mine who'd injured herself. So it's like, since I was losing so much weight and feeling more active, it's like, yeah, I can do a half marathon, right? Yeah, I could do that. Well, without the diabetes, that would help. But as I was walking a lot, I didn't really notice at first, but eventually it was like, okay, well, it's been a year and my left leg is still kind of dragging a little bit. Not right away, but after a walk, because I'd walk like 1 to 4 miles a day just around my neighborhood or something. But the foot drop would start after about 20, 30 minutes. So after a mile and a half, and then it's like, yeah, I wasn't sure about that. Didn't really know what was causing it. But I was training for the marathon and all that. I stopped drinking in April of 24, the last time my friend came to town. So with the marathon in June of 24, I figured I'd try to walk it. I can walk 13 miles. I'd never done that before. I think the longest I walked was like 5 or 6 at a time. And I did enjoy the marathon scene because like just the whole atmosphere of going to a marathon and all the message boards, the support and everything given that. It's like, that was really interesting. And I do hope to get back to that someday. But in the meantime, after the marathon comes, and I walked it and ended up tripping after about 6 miles. So it was the farthest I'd ever walked before. But after 6 miles, it's like, I should probably stop now. So I just went to the medical tent and got a ride home. And then it started raining, so I didn't feel so bad about that. But yeah, after the marathon, I told myself I'm going to figure out what's wrong with my left leg. And so I went to some orthopedic doctor or specialist place, and they did MRIs of my and an EMG of my left leg and all that stuff. And the neurologist who did the EMG suggested they're looking in the wrong place for, any issues, like they were looking on my back and all that stuff. So they ended up doing MRIs of my brain and neck. And as it turns out, yes, there were in fact lesions on there. So while the orthopedics were at first thinking, oh, back surgery, yeah, that's probably what we'll need to do, but let's do the MRI first due to the neurologist's recommendation. So we did those, and then next time I go see the orthopedic guy, it was, oh yeah, I'm glad we found this beforehand. And then they basically just sent me to the neurologist, and who then diagnosed me with MS. So that's lots of fun. It does explain a lot because, the foot drop, and honestly, the one physical activity I've consistently done for the last 20 years is bowling, and my bowling scores have been going down. And it's just a matter of I don't have any leg strength in the left leg, or at least not enough to really keep up where I was at beforehand. I mean, I could still physically bowl, and I still do. And every once in a while, everything goes well. But anyway, with the neurologist who I've been seeing, after seeing so many carnivore videos about people beating their multiple sclerosis or whatever, it was just kind of it gave me hope. So like the MS itself didn't honestly scare me, because it's like I've heard enough people doing carnivore, and I'd already been doing that since December. So wasn't worried about it. In fact, I didn't even want to take the MS drugs that my neurologist, was basically saying it's just going to get worse. It's just going to get worse. Mm. And so I was able to delay the MS drugs for about 6 months before a follow-up MRI in February, where they're still showing that, there's still signs of progression in your lesions. So begrudgingly, I did start taking the MS drugs in March, and it's like dimethyl fumarate or something. So it's just one of those things where I don't think it's needed, but for now, I'll take it for a little while until I can get another opinion with a different neurologist, or maybe some other naturopathic or whatever option. But thanks to losing 120 pounds or so, and I feel, thanks to being on carnivore, honestly, I now feel healthier than I've ever felt. I mean, the MS, I've heard of stories of people where it's like really debilitating, and so I feel very fortunate that that's on me. But it's not great, but I am confident that the being a carnivore and whatever else, I've been trying lots of supplements and everything, probably more than I need. But one way or another, I'm gonna find a way to beat this and get my full life back. So
cool. Have you seen Diane Ladd in Boston? Boston Carnivore, right?
I've definitely seen her videos, yes.
And but you're feeling much better than you've ever felt. Is that right?
Absolutely. I'm probably lighter than I was back in college, because I remember in Europe weighing in about 200, and now I'm $180. So everything, I know weight's not everything, but feeling pretty damn good.
Over the next couple of months, we also have a couple of people scheduled with full remission of MS as well. But I mean, this is a wonderful story.
I'm just wondering if all that the marathoning, half marathoning, which isn't natural to humanity, is part of the issues. Because I know when I stopped doing all that excess of exercise, my bones and body and joints healed, all went away.
But he was already having symptoms before his first marathon, the drug food, right?
Yeah. I think the marathon just kind of
Exacerbated
exposed the issue,
brought it to light.
Right, but that was all during the healing process and changing diet also. But then you get an MRI or a CT or some X-ray, and they say, "Oh, you got this disease," and then we live our disease. When in fact, maybe, I don't know. I'm just talking out loud, and because we've medicalized and we've sort of defined all of us with the disease, and maybe that's part of the problem in Western medicine, and we sort of label ourselves, and maybe that you're feeling better if you didn't have the X-ray to tell you what you had. What do you got?
Then I would just have left leg foot drop and still be annoyed by that.
Which could be secondary to all the years of being non-carnivore, potentially.
And being overweight by a lot, and I don't know.
Yeah. That's because no matter what, something happens to us in life where we don't need to define us quite as much in the modern medical system. I'm talking about menopause. Menopause is a natural and normal progression of life, but we've made a disease out of it, and a symptom, a subset that we can now treat you with medications and other treatments, which kind of creates a gang of menopausal people or a gang of MS people. And I just throwing some ideas out there. I don't know. So the mindset is mightily powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I will say shortly after being diagnosed, I definitely walked less. It was August in 23 that I got that diagnosis, and perhaps I was starting to use it as a bit of an excuse for not walking as much, but I plan to get back out there now that the weather's finally warming up around here in northern Wisconsin. So, yeah, gonna get back into the walking thing at least. I mean, not looking to do a marathon anytime soon, but if I could just get out there and start walking again, that'd be a win.
So how long have you been carnivore now?
Since December of 23, so a year and a half or so.
And overall, you're feeling better.
Yes, I feel amazing, better than ever. Could also be part of the like April 24. I quit. That was my last drink, and it's been a year plus since then. So, being from Wisconsin, that's not an easy thing to do, but I don't miss that either anymore, and so that's got to be a big help to my health and everything.
Are you doing any other type of exercises right now?
Not really. I just bowl occasionally. I walk a lot, or I walk around, not as much as I should, but I will be walking a lot more around the neighborhood like I did the prior years. And yeah.
How much should we walk, Dr. Nelson, or exercise? Is there a should?
In terms of a specific amount, no. There is nothing specific. We need to move. Obviously, when we compare ourselves to thousands of years ago, we have it too easy. We love it, right? We love it because we like the air conditioner. We like sitting down and working behind this thing. But our counterparts, even 100, just go back 200 years ago. There were no cars, there were no airplanes. 200 years ago, you wanted to go somewhere, you had to either walk, get on a horse, get on a donkey,
which is sitting. Right? We sit in a car, we sit on a horse or a donkey, we sit on a bike, although nowadays everyone's got an electric bike that I can see.
Yeah. But even a couple of hundred years ago and beyond, before that, you had to walk. You wanted to buy a house. You could buy a house. Rarely, probably, you had to go and build your house.
And repair it probably every month or two because of the natural wear and tear of weather and the bugs and the animals and the beasts.
So, I mean, there is a point where maybe exercise becomes excessive, but I don't know that anybody can say, well, this is where it's adequate and this is where it's too much.
Although the term exercise, what other animal does work for the purpose of motion rather than the purpose of either feeding or eating? I mean, ultimately, we've created a story. You got to do something rather than just living life.
Yeah.
Right? Do you take any supplements, Chris?
Far too many. As I've been, honestly, I feel like the supplements are mostly to fight off the effects of the MS drug. But, I got the D3, K2, B, etc., things like that. And it's one of those things, I've probably got so many that I don't really know which one is doing what. But after reading books about like high dose vitamin D and things like that, it's just, I thought it was worth a try to bite off the MS.
You were having symptoms at some point. You went on, increase your activity, you changed your diet, you were diagnosed with the MS, but you didn't go on medications right away, you said. When you went on medications, how long ago was that, by the way?
The medication started in March of this year.
This year, okay. So you had been over a year carnivore at that point. Have you noticed a difference, any improvement with the medication?
No.
No.
The medication is just meant to stop the progression, so effectively do nothing.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Sometimes supplements and drugs may be part of our problems.
It probably is part of mine, and I'm just kind of trying to wean down on, like, okay, I'm out of this one, so I'm gonna stop taking this one or something, but.
So we're not suggesting you stop your MS medications, but
no, that's the one I'm gonna stick with for now.
And hospitals, and we need them. It's a catch-22 sometimes, but we as doctors and hospitals and the medical system, we do cause a lot of problems with our treatment sometimes, and so we call that iatrogenic in many ways. But
yeah, isn't it? I mean, ultimately, if you look at the side effects from medications versus the nothing part of it, that may be part of our biggest problem. I mean, standard medicine, women that are in menopause should take estrogen because they have a deficiency disease. It's called no estrogen, and yet we haven't had any long-term prospective randomized double-blind placebo-controlled studies, and whether or not those are valuable anyway is a big question. studies. But pains throughout going to the gym. Gym disease. CB. What were we going to say, Alia?
We got a couple questions.
Throw them in there.
All right. Lewis, how old is Chris now?
I am now 38 years old.
38 years young.
Young, young.
Love it.
I believe we must have already talked about this. Lindsay, Lindsay asked, what supplements do you find most helpful? I think we just talked about that.
Yeah, probably the D3, I would imagine, but it's kind of tough to pinpoint since I did so many at once, of course, because, yeah, it's just what I did.
There you go. Here we go. Last question that we have. CB. I have a theory, but does this sound practical? When I take vitamin D3, I eat a chunk of butter due to being fat soluble. Makes sense to me. What about that, Dr. Nelson?
Well, it gets better absorbed, certainly. I take D3 that comes in coconut oil because I've been trying to find it coming in lard. It doesn't come in lard, but taking the sun is the best vitamin D supplement. But it gets better absorbed definitely if you take it with butter.
Dr. Nelson, your sound, something's up with it.
Yeah.
Right? It's I don't know. You got helium, you're breathing helium.
This is why does Dr. Nelson sound like someone from the Lollipop Guild?
Target.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird. Who knows? I
Who
don't know.
knows?
But it's sort of, again, if you eat the fatty meat, the organ meats, you don't need, and that's the supplement you need. And sunlight, get out there, go for a walk, do gardening, chop down the tree that's been pounding on your house or something, or risking falling. And we're not doing the work. We're not building the fences and getting out there and doing all that stuff. That's the craziness. The fat adipose tissue. Most meat we eat is lean. We cook it. We lose all the fat. Raw
Any
meat,
better now?
Yeah, it seems to be better. One more time.
Can you hear me okay now?
Oh, yeah.
That's better. Better. But one of the challenges, Western medicine, it's like, oh, your cholesterol. Oh, that doesn't look so good. Or, oh, my vitamin D levels are low. I don't have rickets. My testosterone's low. I don't have low testosterone symptoms. I just ignore all the shit. Don't even get the testing anymore because I feel fine. Is modern medicine testing really like my CAC score? It was 700. My vessels are clear. What do we do? Do we rely on modern medicine? Or do we rely on our ancient nature? All right. Sofian Sharkoi. Is it true that grain-fed meat can cause inflammation because the high omega-6s? Been carnivore for a year and a half now. Feel great, but feeling lightly burning, tingling upper legs and groin lately. So wondering, doctor or Chris, or you guys want to take that one? What are your thoughts?
So I buy my meat from a couple of sources. Some of them are grass-fed, grass-finished, all the nicey stuff. I have a company I order from, but most of the time I buy meat from local supermarkets, Walmart, a Spanish supermarket I go to, Sam's Club. So, sometimes I don't know where that meat unfortunately is coming from. I don't think I get any problems with it, but there are people who are so sensitive that in particular if it's not a ruminant like chicken and pork, and they might feel symptoms with the end product that they're consuming because of what the chicken or the pork or was fed, even the grain fed. Now i- it's possible. Most people don't have that problem. It's not because of the omega 6, omega 3. The symptoms, if any, might be because these animals were fed very high amounts of soybeans and wheat and corn with a lot of glyphosate, and yes, there might be a problem there. But I know Dr. Kills loves his grain-fed uh, beef.
Finished.
Yes,
They're all grass fed and
yeah,
they're either
Gra-
grass or
gra-
grain finished.
yeah.
I like fattier cuts. I think the fat is what we're missing. And I think that's the biggest problem. People are eating lean meat, chicken, fish, turkey, pork. It's mostly lean. And then they cook it and they melt away the fat. And they're cooking meat, which causes glycation end products, ages and rages. I think that's a big problem. So I think that they're probably you're not focusing on enough fatty meat, rare to raw, and that could be a bigger problem. Nancy Drinenberg on KMT. How do you handle no longer having the social aspect of eating and drinking with family and friends? It is difficult to sit and not eat with the same things sometimes. Chris, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I just find it's a matter of you just got to change what you're meeting with your friends for. You should be meeting for their company, not for the food that you're eating at the same time. But so it hasn't. I mean, I still bowl in weekly leagues, and everybody there's drinking and eating, but I've managed to abstain the last couple of years, so it hasn't
Have
been that hard to
Have
do.
you noticed as a carnivore any smell differences when you're in the bowling alley? Can you smell the fried vegetable seed oil?
Well, it's not just the bowling alley; it's any restaurant or any even walking through like Walmart or something. You can still, if they have any fresh food at all, then it's like, yeah, you can definitely smell it, and it's probably not good. So you just, like I say, fortunately, I've been doing it long enough to where it's like it's not tempting anymore. And let me just say, it's music to my ears when somebody asks me about it because it's my favorite topic to talk about. But whether or not it's received by them, who knows? But all I can do is try.
I just put some sparkling water in a wine glass or in a martini glass, and I enjoy. And hang out with friends. It's okay. And hey, I'm gonna eat the meat. Oh, how's those beans? Great. You should try just meat. They're like, wow, you look amazing. You gotta go into the mix of life, and we're basically being there and living life, and the next thing you know is like, wow, everyone's eating just meat, drinking sparkling water, right?
It's fun.
Gotta get out in the mix, be part of the change, right?
Mm-hmm.
Stay the course. Mindset is the master set. Cues. Let's see. Got any other questions there?
We do.
Hallelujah.
Next one. Cookie Carter. How do we convince our medical system that our body does not need any carbs, especially in the Caribbean?
Be the change. Be the change. Go ahead, Doc.
Yeah, exactly. No, that you said it. Definitely be the change, be the example. This is where it starts because one person by itself may not be able to have the impact that's necessary to make changes overnight, right? And it's not going to happen. But if you change yourself, you're the example, and you start there. We were talking about mortality and drug side effects. I was just looking up third leading cause in the United States of mortality is adverse effects from medications. Third, behind strokes and respiratory diseases, not even cancer, it seems to be below the medication side effects. So that's the first thing. I'm watching Dr. Trump put something in LinkedIn, a video of a nutritionist, dietitian, saying that we absolutely need carbohydrates to cut your potato that's 60 grams of carbs in half so you have more space for the bread
Oh Lord, that sounds terrible.
because it's our brain food. Uh, you know, it's a little bit disturbing, but
Well, is sugar? I mean, this is our confusion. Sugar is not energy for our body. It must be converted to fat in the liver via insulin, or you die.
Right.
Glucose is a glycosylating agent, which is critical for survival, but it comes in meat. When you eat meat, there are sugars in meat. When you eat plants, there are sugars in plants. And so, in effect, sugars are required in the human diet, but they come with the animals that we eat.
and the amounts are totally different. You know,
Well, the difference is plants come with poisons, but meat does not. And so again, it's kind of a crazy concept because I mean, are there proteins in meat and are there proteins in plants?
they don't look the same either.
But there are, right? There
Yeah,
are
there are.
proteins in animals and proteins in plants. But what toxin comes with the ribeye steak?
None.
None. None. I think that's
Doctor-
kind of it. That I know of anyway.
All right, we got a question from Instagram for you from Kate. I can't totally pronounce her last name, but she says, Dr. Kiltz, how do you feel about insurance companies paying for IVF?
Well, ultimately, you're paying for IVF no matter what it is, because your work and salary ultimately go to support the health insurance world or the non-health insurance world. I mean, ultimately, we're paying for it no matter what. And if you could get your employer to cover it, well, it's still going to come out of what the work you do either way. But we're forcing someone else to pay for something ultimately we're paying for anyway. This is why we have to blow up the health care system completely, because health insurance and the system we have is mightily broken. What we want to do is help people heal and get pregnant naturally, number one, and to reduce the cost of fertility care and all medical care by healing with things like keto, carnivore, fasting, faith, positivity, mindset for sure. But I think we need maybe blow up the whole system of healthcare in America.
I agree. We'll take one more question from Instagram. Marilyn Morgan 1, is grass-fed a priority?
Not to Kiltz. Grass finished. Again, all cows come eat grass, and then they either are grass finished or grain finished. I personally am not losing my shirt over it. I don't think that's our main problem. I think it's lean meat is our biggest problem, and fake meat is our other biggest problem. And still eating a significant plant, low-fat diet is a real problem. So I'm not chasing a thing that isn't a real problem, in my opinion. But find the meat you love to eat and go at it.
Exactly. And fake meat is not like, what is fake meat? That's the plant-based meats that people are calling meat.
Well, it's not made by a cow.
Yeah, exactly. Okay,
It's not made by a cow.
clarify.
If it's not made by a cow, it ain't meat.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
It's
Dr. Nelson, what are your thoughts?
15 to maybe 50 ingredients put together to taste and look like these burgers, like they even recreate the blood or the myoglobin that you see coming up of a real steak, but it's not real meat. It's just not. It's not food, in my opinion. It's not even food. It's
Yeah,
like
will Paul
Yeah.
Flynn, will carnivore diet help with non-diabetic neuropathy? Well, what neuropathy is inflammation, and I
yeah.
think carnivore helps with everything, but fatty meat, salt water, eat less frequently, and then another one, Judy Jones, you said don't walk as much with MS. What exercise do you do? Congratulations on your carnivore victories, Chris. I know you will defeat your MS. If you're not walking, what are you doing?
Well, it's been cold here, so I haven't done much of anything really. But like I say, with the warmer weather coming soon, then I will be walking a lot more again, and maybe I'll just start with a mile at a time, and we'll see how much it progresses.
Mm. Sometimes the weather in those. I live in Florida, so almost every day it's okay. Actually, it's not okay when it's 95 or 100, but that's not that frequent. But Dr. Kilt, what's the best exercise?
Get off the couch. Go to work. Just go to work. Be creative. Build something. Make something. I mean, that's really it. And mindset. Your mind. Again, your mind will do so much to your physical body. That's the mindset is so critical. Visualize going for that great walk. And believe it or not, you'll get some benefits at just doing that. A grass finished or grain finished? That was a question from Nancy, and what does it mean? Basically, in the last month, 2 or 3, they work to fatten up those cows, and so before they go to the processing plant, and so they often will put them in a feed lot where they're just really pouring on the grain feed, and that's that finishing, either grains or they're just letting them finish up on the grass. And I know some of the my grain finished are actually finished on grass. They just throw out some extra grains in a trough on the grass area, just like we love a dessert from time to time.
Exactly. Here's the next question. Nefereti Jones or Nefertiri Jones. Okay, my PCP is saying I have made too many drastic changes and need to add fruit and vegetables, and she is very concerned. Please help me. Thank you.
Teach her. Teach her. Be the teacher. Teach your doctor. Yeah, you're right.
I don't know how long you've been
Here she says.
eating this way, but which way are
She
you
says,
feeling better? I mean, someone tells
yeah.
me eat more fruit. I can't tolerate. Even if I wanted to, I can tolerate it. I very sensitive to particularly the fruits. Not they are, if you can tolerate them, great. I can have them because
Most people can tolerate small amounts of fruit. We're not supposed to eat it every single day all the time. Small amounts from time to time are not your killer.
yeah, some
And
berries in the summer or fall is not the same as 24/7, 365 days a week. And some people
100%.
think that it's one of the most common responses I get. Uh, so, what do you eat? Trying to talk about diet and oh, I eat healthy. That's the first thing generalized. I eat lots of fruit, and I'm talking to someone who's diabetic with an A1C of 10.
Oh, Lord.
I,
That's a
I eat
lot.
healthy, eat lots of fruit. Well, the fruit might be healthy for some other people. less than 10% of the world is metabolically healthy. So someone who already is showing a severe intolerance to carbohydrates, having more carbohydrate is not going to help. Definitely. I'm trying to put it in as simple as gentle as possible.
Keep it gentle. Hey, Chris, what is your YouTube, Instagram, Facebook? Where are you at in this world on the social media side? How do people find you?
Well, because every YouTube account is a YouTube channel. Mine's called Life After Carbs because I started it when I was losing the weight and just thought, oh, wow, I'm going to be able to get out there and do all kinds of things and that I maybe haven't done for years or whatever. And I will eventually, but I don't have any videos or anything. But, you know, every YouTube account is a channel. So eventually maybe I'll get some channels up, some videos up there.
But just sharing your story is so important. What have you found generally in the community that's been a positive?
Well, just everybody is very nice. I do hope to get to, you know, one of the meetups eventually. You'd think I could make it to one of Kerry Mann's in Wisconsin. It's only 5 hours away from me. You'd think I could do that.
There's one in July.
In July,
Yeah,
yes, December.
I've got it on my calendar, so I'm hoping to be there. But for the last one, unfortunately, I got sick the night before. So
Aww.
you wouldn't think carnivores ever get sick, but it happened. So, but yeah, no, I think these meetups are a good thing, and I'm looking forward to meeting some other carnivores because there really aren't too many people around here.
Where's the meetup in July? What's the date for that, Dahlia?
It should be July 27 in Montello Theater, July 26, Montello Theater in Montello, Wisconsin.
Am I going to be there?
You are going to be there, yeah. Because yes, you are.
Just tell me where to go.
I just tell you where to go.
Do.
Enough time to make it.
Yeah. I think that's so. It is so important. A community is what I found is the very best and important part of this journey, is where the community is growing and exponentially growing around the globe. That's the beauty of it. Did we get all these questions?
No, we got some more.
There's some more. Where are we going to be this weekend, by the way?
You're going to be in Seattle this weekend. Dr. Kilton, Dr. Nelson will be in Seattle with Carrie, Adam, Dr. Baker, Coach Lisa Picker, and Bella in Seattle. And I put the link to sign up and all the information in the top of the chat if anyone has any questions.
Yeah, we got Ashley Stram, Anita Whitman, Diane Jackson, Lisa Gall, George Rosansky, Nancy Drinenberg, Judy Jones, Paul Flynn, Sophie Sharkuri, Anita, let's see, Teresa Pedersen, Terry Gruling from New Hampshire, Nicole Gillespie from Michigan, and Diane Jackson from Jacksonville, Florida, on KMT. And I appreciate everyone coming on board. We have a whole slew of people that stopped in on TikTok. We appreciate that. We have our good friend Chris here, who's really destroyed diabetes with carnivore and is working on destroying MS with carnivore also. And we appreciate you being here. Let's hit some of these other questions. Oh, and the likes, subscribe, the comments on all these platforms. We also on Instagram, X, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube on our StreamYard stuff. So,
and share the links to these videos with any friends that might need it.
Yeah. Viva Cristo Rey says, how much do you think prescription meds affect our weight, itchy joints, and other possible symptoms can they affect when on keto carnivore lifestyle?
Many medications cause weight gain. You know, I think it's a good practice if you're going to take a medication to read all the possible side effects. The side effects doesn't mean everybody's going to get 100% of those effects all the time, but there are too many to count. Most mental health medications make you gain weight. Most they're beta blockers. They're just many.
Good.
You're-
So
you're- Flushing,
This is the next
chest
question.
pain, injection site problems, flu-like symptoms, high blood pressure, headaches. These are just some of the MS meds, but we know everything. Aspirin has side effects, right? Tylenol,
yeah,
Motrin,
totally.
right? Breathing air is deadly, but not fat, not too fast. That's the good part is so. All right, we
All
got
right, next question. Nava. Thorn vitamin DK2 has MCT oil in it. Is this an issue? I take it daily.
What's
Dr.
an
Nelson.
issue? That
You're fine. You're fine.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
there you
fine.
go. You're fine. Okay, caffeine withdrawal supplements. Caffeine
Decaf
withdrawal.
coffee.
yeah, exactly.
Go
Placebo
decaf,
effect.
dilute it, get off it. But it's okay.
Yeah. If you want to get off, just basically you can taper down. If you're having symptoms from going from one day to the other, just start putting half and half of real coffee and decaf and just work it out.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one is from Instagram. Carnivore crowd, familial hypercholesterolemia. Family friend has their 10-year-old on statins. Is carnivore an option here? I don't fully understand the condition.
So familiar hypercholesterolemia means everybody in your family has high cholesterol. It is genetic, but the best person to go and get information on this is Dr. Dave Diamond. He's a PhD, right, Dr. Kiltz? Dave Diamond. And he has familial hypercholesterolemia. There are very good studies, population studies that show that after a certain age, actually, people with familial hypercholesterolemia decrease their mortality rates. Increased mortality rates in the younger years, but after they hit 50, mortality is better than the general population. So it's an interesting subject. But the answer in relation to carnivore, is a carnivore an option here? Yeah.
But our diagnosis of familial hypercholesterolemia is in the midst of standard dieting for everyone. So our
Context
problem
matter, yes.
right? So our problem is we made a diagnosis based on what the modern medical system believes to be true. My parents all have high cholesterol. They lived in their 90s and 100s. So boy, that's a bad disease, right? You're living too long. I'd say that carnivore absolutely is the best thing. Go ahead on that next one.
Okay, so the next one is Elkie. Would coconut oil help a person that is diehard vegan who's so mentally sick that he can't just do meat? Bipolar, can't work, can't function, so sad.
If the person is vegan, yeah,
Yeah.
that will be a source of fats, increasing your fats, oils in your diet. It's hard for a vegan to be in a ketogenic state, which is one of the things that we know helps with brain function.
Fasting,
Yeah.
fasting is the best thing everyone and anyone can do. 1 meal a day or less. Cook the plants well. Add the fat. Vegetarians are easy. Eggs, cream, cheese, and butter. That's really it. But but get rid of the plants. But if you're a vegan, it's cook the plants well, add coconut oil, hemp seed oil, but make sure you don't eat raw. Raw plants are deadly, and raw meat is masterful.
Okay. Next question. Viva Cristo Rey. Seizure med Tegretol need to take for life. Been taking for 30 years. Can it be stalling fat loss, or what else could I be doing to lose 30 pounds of fat that doesn't want to budge? I like Dr. Kills' answer on these questions. Why doesn't the fat want to budge, Dr. Kills?
Well, we're not supposed to be skinny. Your fat is there for a reason. You're perfect and beautiful. Fat is never the cause of disease. It's a survival food. We likely didn't eat for weeks or months in our ancient environment. And here we are worried about our fat when, in fact, something major could happen and there's no food. But, seizures are caused by chronic and acute inflammation, secondary plant protein, low-fat diet. That's really it. And if you fast and eat fat, and fat is white stuff from the cow, and you want to lose weight, Chris, what's the magic of losing weight?
Just eating fatty meat.
And walking. I mean, that's kind of you moved, right? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
So a couple of things on that. Tegretol might not be the problem here. It's one of the medications that may not have a negative effect on the weight. Number two, the best treatment for epilepsy before any drug was available was what? A high-fat diet.
Mm-hmm.
So it shouldn't be much of a concern, that particular medication.
Okay, next question, comment. Stevie Wood, 5 months in carnivore, I'm really struggling with it due to not losing weight over a month. I guess we kind of just covered that just a little bit.
Yeah, honestly, I haven't lost any more weight in like a year or so. But once you lose the first 120, it's like you don't care anymore. So it's like, well, that's where my body wants to be, around 180 or so.
Yeah.
How does GFG Homestead, how does intermittent fasting affect blood sugar and type 2 diabetes?
Well, I would imagine it helps. I mean, went from like 6 point whatever in January to 5.1 in August, and then 5.0 the next year. So I imagine it helps.
Great. Yeah, it does help. Basically, you're restricting. There are two: time restricting eating and actual fasting. Definitely are two things that will help. Anyone who's got a diagnosis of diabetes will definitely benefit by decreasing the amount of food that we are eating.
Well, food increases blood sugar levels. Insulin converts blood sugar amino acids to fat in the liver. Insulin is a digestive enzyme, and ultimately not eating obviously empties the gut and lowers your blood sugar from your digestive sugars, and is the best thing you can do. But true fasting is more than a day, in my opinion. Most people don't fast except overnight, but 3 to 5 days of fasting is magical. 5 to 7. Dr. Nelson, what's your max fasting?
10 days.
10 days. How'd you feel?
I felt okay. Yeah, it was good.
But, well, wait a minute. But sugar is your energy. What'd you do?
I didn't eat sugar, proteins, or fats because I was fasting.
Yeah. So you're burning fat, and you're always burning fat even when you're feasting. Fat is always the mitochondrial energy, and sugars are still made into fat in the liver along with amino acids via insulin. So, yeah, fasting, true fasting, intermittent fasting. I call it intermittent feasting. You're either intermittently eating or you're eating all the time. And you know, we're in an abundant environment of food. Isn't that our biggest problem? There's too much food around.
Too
So
much food.
going back to the question, basically, if some people cannot tolerate eating 17 times a day, like other people do, that constant grazing might be a problem for some. So decreasing the amount of times you eat in a day, certainly, even if you're not truly fasting, eating once or twice a day probably is better than 15 times a day.
All right. Any other quick end questions? And let's move on.
I just want to, let's say, carnivorous dude Edmund, he's saying you need to be in August 23rd in Ohio. However, you're going to be at Beef Roundup that weekend. However, maybe Dr. Nelson, are you going to go to the Ohio?
Yeah, we can divide and conquer for sure. So
Yeah, divide and conquer.
We'll work those out with the team and figure it out.
Yeah,
sure.
divide and conquer.
All right. All right.
So this is another weight loss question, and I asked Nikki a bunch of questions in the chat because you need to know more. You need to know more. It's
Losing
more on
weight.
loss. Yeah, losing weight.
But again, this idea we're overthinking our bodies. You got to love them. Love them.
But is carnivore diet a weight losing diet?
No.
Or is the way of carnivore eating
lifestyle?
If you want to call it a diet and anything related to health, I would say it's a health optimization.
Right.
Diet.
Health optimization. Exactly. Heidi has a similar question, but slightly different. I've been carnivore for 9 days, haven't lost 1 pound. I'm 59 and had Graves' disease and don't have a thyroid and have a dumb doctor who has to check levels. Can I still benefit from carnivore? Yes.
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 Carnivore is the best thing you could do in life, and faith and fasting. Faith first, fatty meat and fasting and fitness will ensue and positivity. I am healthy and well. That's one of the most important things.
Yeah, and sometimes if your goal is to lose weight, sometimes you need to dig down and troubleshoot these things if you want to find out what things you can eliminate, you can add,
Coaching, Coach
Link
Nelson.
is in,
Coach Nelson.
Link is in the description.
Man, the more coaching you need, I'm sure Chris is out there talking it up and helping people. I mean, that's really where I think medicine is going to. It's community based. You don't need to go to the doctor. You go to those online that have had the experience of making the changes without all the doctors, drugs, and dissections. Although we can use them from time to time. What's the let's put the prize out there.
I just want to answer this question real quick on the Syracuse meetup. It is going to be on September 27th, most likely at the Destiny Mall. I'm working out the specific
figure out exact dates.
We'll figure out, yeah.
We'll get it out.
September 27th, but we'll let you know soon enough.
Put it in your calendar.
Put it in your calendar. And then this last one. When do you get your coaching class starting? What will it cost? So Dr. Nelson will be doing a 13-week course to train you how to be a Kilts health coach. Right now, we have a discount running to get onto the wait list for the course, and it is $400. And you can email me, and I will send you the link. Alia@drkilts.com.
It's not a wait list. You're getting on the list.
You're getting on the list. It's called a wait list. You're getting on the list.
It's like you're getting on the list, and it's
you're on the list.
Date it's going to be available.
July 1st.
All right, July 1, 25. Excited.
July 1, 25.
All right.
Yeah, we got to do the giveaway. Sorry, we're doing the giveaway to extra kilts. 1 second.
This is what you're getting if you're the winner.
Yeah, that's what you're getting. Hashtag Chris. I gotta get the music. Malcolm needs to help me with that. Juliette Murray, congratulations. You are the proud winner of Kilt's Health Organ Supplements. Woo! Please email me, alia@drkilts.com. I'll put it in the chat. There you go.
All right.
Final
Thank
words.
you to our TikTok watchers, listeners, followers, our Kilts Mighty Tribe watchers, listeners, followers, and to those on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, and I don't know what else is there, Rumble or something like that. So, Chris Kurensky, thank you for being here. We so appreciate your story. Keep sharing, and we got to get you on our Monday evening meetup, our Zoom meetup with the Kilts Mighty Tribe for sure.
Sure.
And people's comments, questions, just keep throwing them out there. Really important. Like, subscribe, share. Very important. Our job is to share the message around the globe of health and wellness through community foundation. And we're actually potentially working on a community foundation insurance product. Again, it's rather than it's going to be crowd community funded to help those that need some standard health care, where we can all help people around the globe. So that's working on that, coming to that. So
3 p.m. this same channels. 3 p.m. We're gonna be with Dr. Laura Buchanan. Be there or be square.
And I'm 4:15 live today with Carrie Mann.
Both of
That's
us,
right.
yeah.
Both of us
Yeah.
today
Both of us from there.
from Sarasota. All right, all. Chris,
Nice.
you're
Love that.
amazing. We look forward to seeing you in Wisconsin or somewhere else around this mighty globe. All of us doing this together. You're a rock star. And Dr. Nelson and Alia, blessings. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you later.
We'll see you later.
3 p.m.
Review.
Bye, guys.